The fractal design Define R4 case gets featured on the WAN Show Build Logs of the Week section more than any other case. Click now to learn more about it. I've been curious about the Pebble since launch, and very recently I bit the bullet, I bought one, and it arrived in this eco-friendly packaging that is completely recyclable and really doesn't contain a whole lot. So once you open it up, all you're gonna find is the Pebble Smartwatch, and in my case I chose, regrettably, the orange color, so coupled with the sort of cheap feeling rubber strap and the bright color and plastic construction, it really does feel kind of like a child's toy as opposed to a serious tool that I spent $150 on. But don't worry, it's available in 6 different colors, of which orange is probably the most ridiculous. And then it comes with a magnetic charging cable. It does not come with an AC adapter though, so you'll have to plug it into one that you already own, pick one up at the store, or plug it into a computer. Now, the magnetic charging cable, I'll show you guys how it works here. So it just clips onto the smartwatch like that, boom. Not too strong, not too weak, is a bit of a double-edged sword. So as much as I hate micro USB and it can just go eat a turd because I hate it and it's fragile, this is not necessarily optimal either because it comes with one. If you ever need a replacement one, you're probably gonna have to order it online. And as we discovered when we tried to do the unboxing the other day, if you don't have it, you can't just run around and find a replacement one very, very easily. You have to go and actually find that cable. So I recommend not losing it. However, I do love that it's magnetic and it's not gonna break. So with that out of the way, let's get into the physicality of the Pebble. So I did mention it's a little bit cheesy. Don't worry, there are things you can do. So you could order a different color, you can get aftermarket watch faces for it, you can get aftermarket watch straps from any store that carries standard replaceable watch straps, so you can actually customize it to your heart's content, but you don't have to out of the box. On the left hand side there is one button. This turns the backlight on and also serves as a back button when you're navigating through the menus. On the right hand side you've got up and down within the menus as well as confirm. These up and down ones, if you're not inside the menus, will rotate through your different clock faces that are available. It comes with 3 ones by default, but you can totally download all the different clock faces you want and take advantage of that awesome upgradable functionality that it has. I do want to very briefly show you guys the kinds of options that are in the menu. So music control is a big one. Forward, back, and play pause. This is one that I find myself using a ton because when you have your headphones connected to your phone and it's in your pocket, what's more convenient? Bloop bloop on your wrist, or pulling out your phone and manually selecting a track, undoing your lock screen. Absolutely fantastic. I'd say it's worth the cost of admission just for that. Set alarms, watches, you've got some settings in here, Bluetooth display, yeah. Nothing else in here that's really that interesting. The music control is awesome. However, there's a great deal of customizability, and we'll get into that more in just a moment here. So the first thing you're gonna download when you get a Pebble is the Pebble app, which has one button and one button only. So you press connect, and as long as Bluetooth is enabled on your phone, it is going to walk you through a very simple menu. It was easy to set up. The Pebble also offers excellent compatibility. So there's a few issues with some Samsung smartphones, but unlike the Galaxy Gear, it is pretty much universally compatible with any Android phone rather than being locked down to a particular vendor. Aside from Twitter notifications showing up on the smartwatch, I had everything going within about 5 or 10 minutes. More on that in a moment. You've also got settings up here. So this allows you to configure what you want it to notify you about. So calls, SMS messages, calendar. It supports Facebook as well as Google Hangouts. The one thing that I'd say, emails of course, the one thing I'd say is really essential and it doesn't support is Twitter, but don't worry, there's a way around that. Music, you can actually tell it which of your music apps you want it to control, so you're not just locked into something like a default music app, and that is pretty much it, guys. So that's where we get into other apps. So you can get like Free Caddy, which tells you how far away you are from the hole on like thousands of different golf courses. Runkeeper, which keeps track of your runs. No, not in your pants, like out on the street, you go for runs and it tells you like how fast you went and cool stuff like that. And then Pebble Notifier. This is an essential app. So what you can do is you can tell it, okay, exclude the selected ones, include only the selected ones, and this is how I was able to get Twitter working, and there's a bunch of settings in there for that as well. It's really well documented, not only Pebble's own software, but also the third-party stuff that's available. So kudos to them for making that happen. So let's get into my actual experience with the smartwatch. First of all, charge is supposed to last anywhere from 5 to 7 days. By torture testing it and using it a ton, I was able to wear it down in 2 days, which is still better than the day that Samsung estimates for something like the Galaxy Gear. The Galaxy Gear doesn't even have its display on most of the time because it's an OLED display, and that is a huge advantage of Pebble's implementation of an e-ink display, because that means even if you don't go through the complicated gesture of going exactly like this to check the time, you'll be able to check the time from any angle and from any place, as long as you can see physically your wrist. Next up is the backlight. The way that that's implemented is actually really smart. You can either press the backlight button here, the ergonomics of which are terrible because there's a bunch of buttons over here, so it's hard to brace yourself, or you can just give a little flick of your wrist and the backlight is illuminated, allowing you to easily see the display in the dark. It only stays on for about a second though. Now let's talk about the time savings, because you know what? It's not that much on an individual by individual basis. So I just sent myself a text message, and let's wait for that to come through. And basically what it does is it doesn't so much save me 10 minutes every time I get a text, but it allows me to read this message and go, okay, well, Brandon's just like sending me random text messages. I can scroll through it, and then I can just decide, no, I'm not going to deal with that now. I can deal with it in a batch later. I find it makes me get disrupted and distracted less, more than anything else. So I'm not constantly bringing out my phone to check things, which can burn time. I can bring it out once in a while, do everything, and then put it away. It's also great for when you don't have access to your phone, like when you're at work, for example. You could leave it in your pants pocket if you change into a lab coat or something, and then you could know if there's something urgent that you have to go deal with without carrying your phone around if your work has a policy against it, or when you're playing sports or whatever else. So I was on a badminton court. My parents called to say that they didn't have the car seat. We had to come get the baby before he went to bed. I would not have gotten that message in time if I hadn't been wearing the Pebble. So I do find it enhances my life. It does make it better. Is it $150 worth? I guess it's entirely up to you. The functionality of it isn't perfect. Like, it doesn't have as much functionality as the Gear. For example, once these notifications go away, they're gone. They're just gone. Longer messages, you can't scroll through them all. You can't scroll through them all the way. Like emails will get cut off, whereas text messages and tweets are generally speaking okay. You obviously can't reply in any way, whereas Galaxy Gear, you can use S-Voice to do a reply if you really want to, but of course Galaxy Gear costs more than twice as much, at least here in Canada. So in conclusion, guys, I am with Kane from Tech Syndicate, who is the one who convinced me to pick up a Pebble. Is it worth $150 for me? I would say so, yes. It enhances my life. It makes it better in a way that, quite frankly, a phone upgrade probably wouldn't even do, because we're actually adding functionality instead of just making it a little bit faster or a little bit higher resolution or whatever the case may be. Is the Pebble the best implementation ever? Up until now, probably not. In the future, definitely not. There'll be better stuff, but for now, I really like it. You're probably going to see this living on my wrist for the next little while. Leave a like on this video if you guys liked it. Leave a dislike if you disliked it. Leave a comment if your feelings lie somewhere in between liking and disliking it. As always, don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any comments on the video, of course, not a bad idea, head on over to the LinusTechTips.com forum and sign up over there and join the discussion.